Hey everyone, happy Monday. Let me get things started here, so hang on just 1 second. Hey Jennifer, I just promoted you. I'm going to go ahead and promote you to co-host. Okay, there you are.
Hey Gary, great to see you.
Good to see you too. And you were gone for like, was it 9 weeks or something, I think, or?
Yes, yeah, we spent 9 weeks traveling the UK and France,
Wow.
and we just got back a couple weeks ago.
Nice. Well, I'm sure you had a good time there. I'm going to get some more. We've got a lot of people to get promoted here to panelists. We had this set up as a webinar as opposed to a meeting. That's why it's a little more cumbersome, but should have a pretty good crowd tonight, and mostly agents who are investor agents. A lot of them are on my teams, and some of them are not on the team, and that's okay because all are welcome. And I've talked about you a little bit, so maybe your ears are ringing here and there.
Fantastic, I love it.
Yep. And while I'm doing this, just to give you a heads up, so the folks on tonight are really from all over. I mean, literally coast to coast. Could be as far as Hawaii and as far away as Maine and everywhere in between. So
fantastic.
Yeah, and all different levels of experience too. So
great. Well, I love a lot of interaction. It's a lot more fun to talk to real people versus just hearing myself and a presentation. So I think we're going to try to make this as interactive as we can tonight.
Cool. Okay. And Gina, I just made you a co-host there. So Gina's
thank you, darling.
You're very welcome. She's my there's certain people that are around me that if I didn't have them, I'd be a bumbling idiot.
Same.
Gina's one of them. So Tom's one of them. Actually, almost everybody here, quite frankly, look at yeah, so, but the operations people are on, Jennifer. So the folks you were dealing with, Beverly, for example, they're not licensees. They support the team, and Beverly's the one who will get this, the recording out and so forth. So, in any case, hey guys, I wanted to welcome Jennifer Beadles. If you guys could give her a big hand raise or a clap or a hello or.
Oh, thanks. Hey everyone.
Yeah.
And I met Jennifer in the podcast business, so I was interviewing her on my podcast, and when we started talking, we realized we were absolutely two peas in a pod. I mean, probably, twins. I guess we're not brothers and sisters, but I'd say in terms of business, we're pretty darn close. So this is a real treat because very rarely do I find somebody like Jennifer out there. So Jennifer, welcome aboard. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thanks for having me back. And what a great group you have here. I'm super excited.
Well, they're usually, sometimes we'll get up to the mid 30s or 30, 40 people. So you can never tell. There's more and more coming on now.
Great.
And for everybody here, I want to make sure we give Jennifer a chance to present, but then true to our classes, it's definitely Q&A. So Jennifer, I'll field the questions, looking at the chat box and so forth.
Perfect.
Gina does the same thing. So now, do you have anything special, a PowerPoint, anything like that? Or
I sure do.
Okay, you should be able to load that up. I made you a kudos if you have any trouble.
Yeah, I'll share it when we get ready here.
Okay.
I'm really curious though, as you all are joining, can you put in the chat where you're from? I see Lisa is from Oregon/Hawaii. Lisa, do you split your time between Oregon and Hawaii? Because if so, you're brilliant.
As much as possible, yes. I live in Southern Oregon, but I'm home in Maui as much as possible. And next week I'm in Oahu.
Oh, Lisa, you have figured life out. I love it.
It took a while.
I want to be like Lisa. Amazing. We have Oregon, Atlanta, Georgia, Charlottesville, Virginia, South Carolina, Boston, Central Florida. I love it. St. Pete, Charlotte, North Carolina. Amazing. What a great group.
Yeah. And we typically do have a couple of guests also, Jennifer. They're not part of the team. They're not part of any training program. They just, get invited from other agents or they happen to listen to a podcast, something like that. And so we have a open heart, open mind, open arm policy, and all are welcome. It is education based. So
I love it. Oh, we've got Seattle in the house. That is my former hometown. I left the rain almost 1 year ago. Amazing. All right, Gary, should we get started? I
Yeah.
could talk for probably days about what we're going to talk about tonight. I actually had to like really condense it down because Gary, I think you and I are just really, really passionate about seeing investor agents building wealth through real estate. And so, yeah, I kind of tried to pare it down. And so we'll see how we do tonight. Like I said, I could talk for hours, but I don't, of course, want to keep you all on here for hours tonight. So I'm going to go through the content and then, we'll just do Q&A. We'll just keep it casual.
Okay.
I'm an open book. So any questions you guys have about really anything that I'm going to talk about tonight, please feel free to ask away. So Gary,
Okay.
Are we ready?
Absolutely. Yeah. Take her away. Yep.
Okay. Gosh, having been out for a while, I kind of forgot how this works. So let me get the right screen here.
Okay.
And then I'm going to hit share. Okay, slideshow. All right, can you all see this really fun little Vespa?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. So tonight we're going to talk about recession-proof investing for 2022 and beyond. I have a lot of thoughts and kind of predictions about where things are going in the economy, but first I want to give you all some insight into my experience and the 3 recessions that I have invested in and kind of how I've structured both my business and my personal portfolio. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. All right, but first, let me kind of give you a bit of an introduction. This is my family business here. My husband, Travis, he does asset management for us for our personal real estate portfolio. Of course, I'm Jennifer there on the camel with my 7-year-old daughter, Dylan. This photo just really kind of sums up our life. This was in, of course, Cairo, Egypt at the Giza complex there. This was, I think it was November of last year, so a little bit less than a year ago. I lead the visionary and the acquisitions. And then our daughter does due diligence and she's our activities coordinator. So she is actually a salaried employee. So guys, if you have kids and you are not paying your kids in your business, highly recommend it. We get some nice tax benefits in paying her in the form of write-offs. She gets to pay 0 tax on that money because we pay her less than $12,500 a year. And that's invested in a Roth IRA, which she invests in commodities and has been crushing it for the last couple of years. So
Nice.
little tidbit there. All right. So what have we done in real estate? It's probably easier to say what haven't we done, but here's kind of the running list. We've been spec home builders. We, in a prior life in Seattle, Washington, we did a lot of spec home building just about an hour north of the city. We also used to flip a lot of houses that we would buy at the foreclosure auction. I think Gary and I were talking a little bit about reminiscing on the days of buying properties at the courthouse steps. And that story for another day. Again, could talk hours about that. We also do some private lending. So when we're traveling a lot and, maybe if we want to take a little bit of a break from our acquisitions, we do private lending. We've also invested passively in apartments. I do some tax sheltering using a self-directed 401k to save on my tax bill. And then I turn around and invest passively in other people's deals into apartment complexes. We've also built small multifamily, kind of similar to a BRRRR strategy. However, rather than sell at the end of the day, we just refinance and hold on to these brand new A-class assets that are these small multifamily. We had previously invested a lot locally in the Seattle market. I think we still have maybe 7 properties there. But primarily for the last 6 years, we've been investing out of state and investing out of state 100% remotely. So we spend anywhere between 2 to 3 months out of the year out of the country. As Gary had mentioned, I was gone for about 9 weeks. traveling the UK and France with my family. We closed on a 14-unit apartment complex, which I'll show you here in a minute, while in London. And then we completed due diligence on a 12-unit that we just closed on last week in Kentucky. Both of these properties we've never seen. We've actually never been to the areas that we invested in. And so I'm going to kind of give you guys a little bit of a behind the scenes look about what that looks like. I've worked as an investor agent. I got my license in May of 2009. So right before the Great Recession. Seattle is about 2 years behind the rest of the country. So it really didn't hit us until a little bit later. Let's see, claim to fame, first 2 years, I don't think I sold in like a regular seller, any properties that were a regular seller. Everything was either a short sale, bank-owned property, or an auction property. So it was really interesting kind of getting started in those times. And I've invested during 3 recessions. So I've kind of experienced a lot of different market shifts. This latest one is really interesting. There's a lot of just kind of different dynamics that are happening. And I'm really excited though. I think I've seen better deals the last maybe 3 months than I have in the last like 20 months. So really, really exciting times, both to be an investor agent and to be an investor. So as mentioned, for us, the purpose of investing is to fund our ideal lifestyle. That ideal lifestyle includes having the freedom to travel the world. We've been to 28 countries together as a family. And we just love new experiences. We love meeting new people, experiencing new cultures, eating really great food, finding the world's best beaches, and just having a really great time doing that. And so because this is kind of the primary goal for our investing, we learned over the years that there are very specific investment types that allow us to have this freedom and are also recession-proof, which is kind of what we're talking about tonight. And so what I do on a day-to-day basis, so I love coaching and training like Gary. That's a passion of mine. I love, learning something new and then teaching it to others so that others can, essentially take advantage and, get the results that you're after. So my ROI Inner Circle teaches investors and agents how to build a rental portfolio, mostly remote. I also have a referral program for agents. Gary and I had talked about that. So we're always looking for investor agents who are looking to close more transactions with investors. And so we have hundreds of investors in our database, and they are looking for new markets and looking for agents to work with. I also have a software company. Gary, you and I didn't talk about this last time, but we are really close to launching the CRM and deal analysis tool for real estate agents, again, designed to help agents close deals with more investors.
Awesome.
So here's what we're going to cover tonight. I'm going to share with you my 3-step framework specifically for agents on how to build a recession-proof investing plan for 2022 and beyond. I'm going to give you the 10 benefits to owning rental properties. So for those of you that maybe are just getting started or don't already have rental properties, you really need to get in, and now is the time to do it. I'm going to give you some benefits there so that you can walk away with some tips on that. I'm going to share with you some case study examples of actual properties purchased. These are recent properties so that you can kind of see what the numbers look like. And then many of you kind of shared where you're located. And I think it's really helpful to see what prices are in other areas and kind of what returns might look like. It's really great. I think that you have such a wide variety of agents in different markets, because ideally you all would network with each other and, maybe, invest in deals across the country. And, essentially you have this kind of built-in network to do so. I'm also going to share 9 tactics for building your own recession-proof portfolio, and then close with how to close more deals regardless of what's happening in the economy. So step 1, let's talk about investing in income-producing properties. And I have a really unpopular opinion. If you're flipping houses, stop flipping. And I can only say that because I'm a former flipper. I used to, put a lot of work and, capital out to buy properties, fix them up, sell them, and then essentially that income stream from that property ended. It was a one-time paycheck. Essentially I missed out on a lifetime of cash flow that I could have had I just kept those properties. So I really want you to think kind of differently and think outside the box. How can you buy properties that, even if you have to fix them up, you're fixing them up, but instead of selling, you put a tenant in there, you refinance, and then you hold it, right? So again, you're going to get a lot of tax benefits that way, and then you're going to get that cash flow for life. And so if you're currently investing in real estate, your own rental properties, let us know in the chat. Let us know what kinds of properties you're investing in and where. I'd love to kind of see where, everyone is active right now. It'd be really great to hear. While we're doing that, let's talk about some benefits of owning rental properties. Of course, as investor agents, you all know this, but for those that, again, are really just kind of getting started, this is something that's really good to know. So number one, historically, rents do not go down and rents have never gone down. So again, I started as an investor first in 2007, and that was the only time in history, so of my 15 years, that I've ever seen rents remain stagnant. At that time, rents didn't actually go down. They pretty much remained flat for, I don't know what your experience was, Gary, but in the Seattle area, about 18 months, they remained flat until the banks were able to kind of work through all of those mortgages that they were foreclosing on and kind of figure out what they owned and kind of figured out how to deal with it. And so again, that's the only time in history where rents remained flat. Now, what's happening to rents right now? Are they up? Yep. Going up. And no, no end in sight. A lot of the markets that I'm investing in, rents are up 20 to 25% year over year. And it's really incredible. So again, the person that owns the investment properties, of course, is benefiting from that. We're also turning into a renter nation. So a lot of the baby boomers, they're selling their big homes, they're downsizing. A lot of them are choosing to rent. Now, of course, as we've seen with the interest rates going up this year in the last 6 months, unfortunately, we've taken a lot of would-be first-time home buyers and put them back into the renter pool. So what do we all think is going to happen to rents next 12 to 24 months? What do we think? Yeah, continue to go up, right? And so this trend is just going to continue. So number two, obviously you can generate an income without actively participating. That's the issue for me with flipping. You have to actively participate in that activity. You have to show up. Well, first you have to find the property, then you have to hire all the contractors, and then you have to show up and make sure that the contractors are actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. And then you have to get the property staged, then you have to put it on the market, and then you have to sell it, right? There's a lot of active participation there. Now, certainly you can build a team and you can, have leverage and have partners and things like that. But again, it's very unlikely that you're going to be able to take 2 months off and actually run a big flipping business. Whereas with rental properties, again, sometimes we've been gone for 4 months at a time, and our rental properties are still generating an income. Because we hire property managers. It's a very, very small expense to do so. And they're basically the operator. So they operate that asset for us. No matter where we're at, we do not have to actively participate. Number three, major tax benefits. So of course, you are all real estate agents on the call, which means that you get unlimited tax benefits. Everybody else gets up to $25,000 a year. Anything above that, they just have to bank and hold for future years. So again, real estate agents, guys, real estate professional designation is a really powerful strategy that you all benefit from. I'm going to show you some actual examples of what the tax benefits are on individual properties, just so that you guys can see how powerful that is. Number four, of course, we all know this, long-term appreciation. So what has happened to average appreciation over the last 24 months?
Going way up.
Way up. I mean, some properties that I purchased, again, 24 months ago have doubled in value. And that's not to mention the tax benefits that I get, the income that these assets are generating, and the principal pay down, of course. And so it's really incredible when you add up all of these different benefits. So of course, long-term appreciation, what that allows you to do is it allows you to get cash out refinances or a home equity line of credit and essentially have rental properties pay for additional rental properties. And so, again, long-term appreciation when you're investing in the right areas, fantastic benefit. I already alluded to this, tenants are paying down the mortgage. So again, rents are going up, you're getting massive tax benefits. You don't have to show up to produce an income. The value of the property is going up and the tenants are paying down the mortgage. Find me another investment opportunity that does all these things. We're only at number 6. So number 6 is a bank will finance 70 to 80% of the deal. Guys, again, I think just because we're in real estate, this is just kind of normal business. But what other investment do you only have to come up with maybe 20 to 25% down? Which most of the time I'm working with, other investors or lenders, private lenders, JV partners to bring in the down payment. But it's an incredible opportunity to finance, leverage and debt to get into some of these assets to get all these benefits. Number 7, real estate typically performs really well in an inflationary environment. So let's compare real estate to the stock market right now. Who's coming out ahead?
Real estate.
Right? Real estate investors. And so, again, while some of my investor clients, their stock portfolio might be down 30%, their real estate is still doing really quite well. Why? Because real estate as a whole, or a property, is full of commodities, right? And so we have, copper, we've got roofing, we've got all of these things that, are in the building side of it. We've got income producing that's coming in from these tenants. Again, high inflation. So that typically means that real estate is going to perform really well and the appreciation is going to continue. Number 8, when investing in multifamily properties, I'll show you this in some examples, you determine the value of the asset. And when I say you determine, it's based on the operations and the strategy at play. So residential is always going to be valued based on the, comps in the area, right? So if you own a duplex, it's only ever going to be worth what other duplexes are selling for in that area. Now, when you get into multifamily, it's based on the cap rate in that area. So if you raise rents, immediately your property goes up in value. Again, I'm going to show you an example of this. Number 9 is you can get paid without paying taxes. So as mentioned with flipping, the downside to flipping is you sell, you get maybe $100,000 net profit, and then you're taxed at a higher rate. So you have to pay taxes on that $100,000 gain. But if you were to have kept that property and get $100,000 in the form of a cash out refinance, you don't pay any taxes on that. And so the really exciting thing is, again, you kind of get the benefits of selling without actually having to sell. And so that's how I, essentially leverage my existing portfolio to buy more income producing assets that then give me more tax benefits that then get more long-term appreciation where the tenants are paying down the mortgage and, it just snowballs from there. And then number 10 is really, you build your own retirement plan. Of course, you're all in real estate, so you know that there's no retirement plan that comes, there's no pensions for real estate agents. And so it's ultimately up to us to develop our own retirement plan. And what better retirement plan than investing in the things that you're selling every day anyway, right? You have access to off-market deals. You have, knowledge on who to go to for the best lending. You have property managers in your database. You have contractors. All of these things that you're doing on a day-to-day basis inside your real estate business, you can just implement personally and build your own retirement plan. All right, so let me show you guys just some examples. I want to kind of pull in a couple of the different strategies that I had just mentioned. But this is a 6-unit property in Clarksville, Tennessee. Bought this property sight unseen. I work with an investor agent there who found this deal for me off market. And these were the numbers. So the purchase price, $415,000. I should also mention this is a B-class neighborhood. This property was built in 1995, obviously brick building. Purchase price, $415,000. I went to a private lender in my database, who's a former client, and they gave me a loan of $385,000. It needed about $30,000 in renovations. So I put $30,000 down and I put the $30,000 out of pocket to do some renovations. And then about 9 months later, I refinanced the property with a local bank. The bank gave me a new loan of $425,000, which meant that I have $20,000 left into the deal. The great benefit, though, is that now I actually get monthly cash flow of $1,600 a month, right? So pretty quick to pay back that $20,000.
Is that after your debt service?
Yes. Yes, after all expenses, including, accounting for vacancy, CapEx, everything.
Okay.
So my year one tax benefits, this is with a cost segregation and the depreciation, I was able to write off $68,000 with this property, right? Pretty incredible deal. Really nice property. Again, Clarksville, Tennessee is about 45 minutes outside of Nashville. So growing market. This property now, so I purchased this property actually during the height of COVID. It was summer of 2020. And there was a lot of people just really concerned about how real estate would do if the tenants would pay. There's just kind of a lot of unknowns in the market. And so I was able to purchase this property, which seemed like an okay deal at the time. But now 2 years later, I could very easily sell this for about probably $800,000. So it's, pretty much doubled in value since my purchase price. Here's another one that I picked up about 7 months ago. This is a 7-unit on market. I was actually on the market for about 75 days. I think they were asking about 800,000. So not an off-market deal. It's in Holland, Michigan, which is just outside of Grand Rapids. The purchase price on this was $775,000. The net operating income at the time of purchase was $46,000. So that's a 6.25 cap. Again, at face value, okay deal. For me, maybe a double, not quite a base hit, certainly not a grand slam deal, but a really decent deal. Immediately, we did a rent increase of $75 a month. So I put 0 into renovations, which improved our net operating income, $51,250. When we apply the cap rate at 6.25, the new value is about $916,000, which means in the case of it's like 7 months, no renovations, we've created $141,000 in additional equity, right? So again, these multifamily properties are just really, really powerful because you can really control the value. Now, when I do get around to renovating, because that was the plan initially. The plan was to, increase the rents as tenants moved out. Maybe they wouldn't be willing to pay the increased rent because their units are classic. They're not renovated. We could get much higher rent. So there we would, get our rents up to about just like $225 a month. But they just stayed. So I think we're going to continue to do the rent increases, not renovate until tenants actually move out. But when we do get to that pro forma rent, our new value is going to be $1,056,000. So, and again, about $281,000 improvement in value, not to mention all of the cash flow that we'll receive from this. So this one, we haven't filed our taxes yet. I'm thinking it's going to be probably, maybe in the like $80,000, tax benefit range as far as deductions and cost segregation.
Something else that has helped a lot also is occupancy rates are at an all-time high, historically speaking. It's supply and demand.
100%.
Yep.
100%.
So people will take the rent raises now because they know if they move, they're going to pay more anyways.
Right. There's nowhere else to go. Sure. Yeah. And even, $75 a month. Again, that was a fair renting. We probably should have done 100. But it works for us. It worked for the tenants. We don't have to renovate. And, there's not really many other options for them to go to get this rent. All right. So here's one we just picked up last month. And so this is a 14 unit in St. Louis, Missouri. Purchase price on this was $1.1 million. Our current monthly cash flow, the rents are, again, undervalued, but currently we're making about $1,900 a month. Once we get the rents improved, we should get about $3,500 a month. And then once we get to that $3,500 a month, should be worth about 1.4. Again, improvement of about $300,000. Tax benefits on this in year one, I'm expecting to be about $275,000. So again, this is another B-class asset in, I would say, like a B+ neighborhood. And the reason why I've given you guys these examples is because you can kind of see the consistency here, right? I like, apartment complexes. I like brick buildings. I like, most units to be 2-bedroom, 1-bath. They're really pretty easy to turn. They're really, in my opinion, recession-proof investments. They're affordable units. In Clarksville, our rents are about $900 a month for a 2-1. In that Holland, Michigan deal, I think we're at about $850 right now. We'll get to about $1,275. In this one, I think our 2-bedroom rents are like $725, and we can get them up quite a bit. So again, back when I was buying properties at the foreclosure auction, rarely, if ever, did we see properties like this coming up for auction.
Right.
We saw a lot of flip properties. We saw a lot of development deals. On occasion, I would see a hotel, of course, owner occupant deals, but very rarely would we ever see, multifamily properties like this, just really nice properties where it's easy for tenants to pay and it's a desirable place to live.
Yeah. Hey, Jennifer, it's something interesting. We have an agent, Mo Dupe. We call her Mo. She's now in Dallas, but I think she still does business in St. Louis. I think she was trying to sell this about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago. It was a 14er, just like this.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And so she's not in class, and I'll have to look and see if she's logged in yet. But we do have a couple questions, by the way.
Sure.
So Rob and Susan, if you could explain the tax benefits for Susan, and Rob wants to know who your tax person is, because he actually has properties in the area up there,
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my CPA, his name is Mark Canton. He's in Seattle, Washington. And, really the benefit is Mark is able to do cost segregation. And essentially what we do that is we do in year one, you take basically your purchase price less the land. So you can't depreciate land, right? So it's just the actual building. And then we go and we determine what types of assets that we can depreciate, maybe over an accelerated schedule. And so, we say, hey, this is not just a building. We've got, windows and cabinets and appliances and flooring and, maybe other furniture or, washer, dryer, things like that. And so essentially we break that down and we do an accelerated depreciation schedule. And so that, including the regular depreciation, we've got some bonus depreciation. Of course, you can write off all of your operating expenses. Operating expenses, loan fees, everything like that. And so that when you see these, 6-figure tax benefits, that's in doing the cost segregation. Typically, I would say, for just general rule of thumb, usually it's going to be 20 to 30% of the original purchase price that you can get in terms of the full-on tax benefit. So definitely talk with your CPA and definitely, kind of run that by them. You can also, if you Google cost segregation calculator, you can type in a property that you're looking at. It's going to ask you some specific questions, and it's going to give you kind of an estimate on what that might look like in terms of the tax benefits.
We used to actually offer that as a service when I had my own brokerage for our private clients. So we didn't offer it publicly, just our private clients. So they bought a property for an additional fee. We would do the depreciation schedule for them. So everybody listening, the property is 27.5 years depreciation, the building itself, but like lawnmowers and snow blowers and things like that, those could be 3 or 5 year depreciation, which means it's much faster, condensed, so you get more bang for your buck in those few short years. And then, like you said, there's appliances that are, 5, 7, 10 years. I can't remember. We had a truck. We depreciated the truck over 7 years. And it's a great way to maximize your tax position. And it's totally perfectly legal.
Yes.
And we would offer that to our clients, and then they would take that to their tax accountants, who often were not doing it. They weren't doing those things. So Rob, is your guy doing accelerated depreciation on appliances and things like that? Rob Lane, if you're there, you can unmute yourself.
No, he's not, to my knowledge. I mean, there's some depreciation, but I don't think it's anything like this. And we've just paid a ton of taxes over the past 5 years. It's just ridiculous.
Oh, Rob, you need to get a potentially second opinion. And it's, it's funny. So sometimes I will sneak in a property buy right before the end of the year, just so that we can get some more depreciation, because my goal is, and I'm sure all of you on here, is we want to make as much money as we can in our real estate business, but then own rental properties that essentially allow us to pay no tax, right? So we get kind of the benefit, the best of all worlds. And then the other thing too to mention, I've had agents say, well, but I'm really concerned if I have all of these negative, Schedule E's, am I going to be able to qualify for additional loans? And the answer is yes. So the underwriters understand that these are tax benefits and they will add them back in for your qualifying. So I had a real estate agent friend of mine that had visited us here in Arizona a couple months ago before we left. And for whatever reason, she asked if I could look at her taxes, and her CPA had not included depreciation. So Rob, kind of similar to what you're mentioning. And she probably lost out on, I don't know, maybe well over $75,000 in tax benefits. And her CPA said, well, I'm concerned about you qualifying for loans. You said you want to buy more properties, and you said that you were thinking about selling some, and so you would have to just repay it anyway. Well, the thing is, you have to recapture it if you sell anyway, right? Which is why you should always 1031 exchange, which again is probably a conversation for another day. But you basically, when you sell, you have to take that, recapture, even if you didn't take the tax benefit. So basically the IRS is going to say, here's what you should have paid, even if you didn't take the benefit. So always, always, always take the benefit for sure.
You get the use of the money at that time.
Right.
Let's face it, the way inflation is, dollars less and less and less, you might as well take advantage of the tax break. Use the money at that point in time when it's its highest value. The dollar is never going to be more valuable.
100%.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that most people don't realize too, so none of these, I don't have any partners on these. We own just under 300 units. I think we're at like 281 or something in 8 different states. But if you were to bring a partner in on any of these deals to bring the down payment, and you set up an LLC and it's a JV partnership, then your partner also can take advantage of these tax benefits. And so, again, anyone that's involved in the deal gets the tax benefits. And so I have investors calling me all the time that want to invest in my deals so that they can get that negative K1 and, essentially write that off against their active income. Again, unfortunately, if they're not real estate pro, they can only get $25,000 a year, and then it just banks for future years, but still huge tax benefit. So again, just kind of trying to get your creative juices thinking about, if you guys see a deal and you say, well, I don't have the money for that. Certainly you probably have some clients that would be interested in partnering with you, bringing the money in, and then you can both share, of course, in the cash flow, tax benefits, the value accumulation, everything.
Yeah. Hey, what was the CPA's last name? I know the first name is Mark.
Yeah, Mark Canton, Canton.
I'll type it in.
Works with a lot of real estate agents, works with a lot of real estate investors.
You know what? We haven't had a tax accountant on for quite a while. In fact, it's been 2 years. If you want to make an introduction, I'd love to have him come on and teach a class to everybody, and they can share that with their clients. And he likely will. Well, let's put it this way: if he did, this Christmas would probably be very nice for him.
Yes, and for you all too. I mean, shoot, if you all should be kind of teaching these strategies to your investor clients and to your database. So, again, nobody's really putting this information out there. And so you just kind of have to seek it out. But as investor agents, that's the opportunity, is to, show the case studies don't have to be yours, but if you have somebody else, an investor client that's willing to share, and just, again, putting the information out there for your database, huge, huge benefits. Absolutely.
Yeah, Melanie had a question. How do you determine where you'd like to invest? I know you and I talked about that a few months ago, different websites to use.
Yes. So I'm looking to invest in areas where the population is increasing, not declining, right? So that's one characteristic. I'm also looking for an area where I can find the types of assets that I want to be investing in. So as you've seen, I've just given you 3 examples from my portfolio, but I really like brick buildings. I like B-class neighborhoods. I like, I would say, the unit price to be anywhere from, on the low end, maybe 50,000 to about 100,000. I like 10 plus units. I want to buy properties that were built, later than 1965. I have some properties built in the 50s, but I don't really like to go much older than that. Yeah. And I like areas where the rents are appreciating, There's strong, job market. So there's a lot of industries in the area, not, a single employer town. I like to invest in areas where the sub-market population is a minimum of 50,000. Ideally, it's, going to be well over 100,000. But that's kind of where I'm looking. So I get deals from agents all across the United States in markets that, I don't really know about. And I just do a little bit of research. I have a conversation with the agent and say, tell me why I should invest in your market. And then, pretty quickly able to make that determination. So this 7-unit here, I've been to Michigan maybe once, never heard of Holland. This agent sent me this deal on Facebook, in a Facebook group. And I called her up and I said, I don't know anything about Holland. Give me the Cliff Notes version. Why should I invest in this market? And she said, well, the median wage in this area, or the median household income rather, I think is like 65,000. There's a shortage of housing, really, really nice suburb, quick, relatively easy, commute to some of the major employers in the area, just, very kind of suburbs, really close to the lake, great schools, and basically just kind of laid it all out. And I'd never worked with her before, never met her before. And I just said, write the offer. So if you find a deal, or, someone in other markets in your agent network that has deals, absolutely. Just make sure that you know what you're getting into in terms of the market. So I stay out of the high crime D-class areas. I don't like, certainly I wouldn't invest in Detroit, Michigan. I hope there's no Detroit people on. Yeah. I don't like Cleveland. I don't like, Birmingham. Again, just anywhere where there's more people leaving than are coming in. So that's, I call it a declining population. So I like to stay out of those markets.
Yeah. And guys, you can remember if you go to the miscellaneous website link tab, it's in the resource tab and member resources on the website. Go in there, the U-Haul report shows you where people are leaving and going to, and how money walks shows you the migration of money in the United States, from what state to what state, down to the county level. So those are invaluable. Plus the census. That's I can't remember the USdata.io or datausa.io. Amazing tools that give you all those nitty-gritty statistics. You plug in any city you want, hit the enter key, and gives you everything: jobs, income, everything.
I should say I also have a preference for non-income tax states or low income tax states, and so I actually a good chunk of my portfolio is also in Texas and Tennessee. So Tennessee is probably my favorite.
Texas has got green check marks all every box.
Yes.
Tennessee does too. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tennessee is per capita is actually the fastest growing state right now, even more than Florida.
I could believe that.
Yep.
It's a great place.
Absolutely amazing. So.
And I'm very happy to hear that, because I have a lot of properties there. So I'll take it.
Okay, I think we're caught up. I'll keep checking, but
okay, excellent. All right, so now I want to get into the 9 tactics. So I think we've kind of really just hopefully convinced you guys that you should be investing in more rental properties. So now let's talk about the 9 tactics to scaling your rental portfolio. So it took me a very, very long time to figure out how to scale up and how to scale outside of my local market. I spent the first, about 9 years investing locally. And so, here's some tips. And this is kind of the framework that I've put together that I've used with hundreds of investors that have helped them scale up. So really there's 3 main things. Number 1 is mindset. Number 2 is you have to have connections, and you have to have a team. And then you have to figure out some sort of strategy that works best for you. So let me unpack this a little bit. So number 1, in terms of mindset, this is like square one, is what's the outcome that you're after? What's the point? What are you trying to accomplish? Make sure that you have the clarity on essentially what you're trying to do. So in the very beginning, for me, I just wanted to make $10,000 a month. I wanted to net $10,000 a month for my rental properties. I figured that, that would pay for, pretty much my living expenses. And then everything, business-wise was just gravy from there. Certainly once we accomplished that goal in just a few short years, then we had to increase that. And now we're working on $1 million a month, $1 million a month in net cash flow, right? So it's going to give me a couple of years to work on that goal. Number two is you really need to get some clarity on why is this goal important? So for me in the beginning, that goal was important is because I wanted to have the freedom. So I wanted to decide whether or not, if I woke up one day and said, I don't want to be in the real estate business anymore in terms of selling as an agent, I could. I wanted the ability to retire my husband because his work schedule was really getting in the way of our travel schedule. And so getting just really clear clarity on why this is important is going to power you through all of the challenges that you'll face along the way. And then number three is, again, once you know what the outcome is, once you understand the why behind it, then you need to get some action steps. So what do I need to do? What are the action steps? Well, in the beginning, for me, the action steps were, well, I need to, make sure that I can qualify for loans. I need to make sure that I'm doing active daily deal analysis and due diligence on properties and kind of building that into my schedule so that I'm, always writing offers and always finding deals. So for you, I highly recommend kind of writing everything out. What are the action steps? Maybe you need to schedule this in your calendar. If you're a busy agent, working 7 days a week and you think this all sounds great, but I don't have any time, maybe your action step is you need to figure out where you can find the time. Put it in your schedule. Maybe you have to wake up a little bit earlier. Maybe you don't watch Netflix at night and instead, analyze some deals, things like that. These all just, are really, really important to building that habit so that you can build the portfolio of your dreams so that you don't have to work as much anymore. All right, so connection. So the next question I asked is, who will find me deals? Well, when I was investing locally, I was the person to find the deals. I was an investor agent, of course. And so I was out there every single day looking for deals. And so if I found a deal that looked really good, but maybe didn't quite work for me, I would email it out to my investor clients. And so I got to the point where I had about 800 investors on my list that I was emailing every single day. So that kept me really busy, of course. I was writing offers and things like that. But because I was doing so many deals, I found that a lot of people were bringing deals to me. So a lot of other investors or wholesalers were reaching out to me, or I was getting leads from property managers and insurance brokers, things like that. Now that I'm investing out of state, who will find me deals are the investor agents that essentially send me deals every day. And so now I'm not actively finding deals. I don't do any of my own off-market, mailings or farms or anything like that. I only work with investor agents who bring me the deals. So for you, again, if you're wanting to invest in your local market, great. You're the one to find the deals. If you live in, say, Hawaii, and the deals don't make sense there, you couldn't find a, B class 10 unit, for under, $1 million, then, maybe think about in what markets can you find deals? And then who are the investor agents in that market that could send you those deals? Next question is, who will fund my deals? So in the beginning, my husband and I were the funding source. We used our own funds, we put our down payment down, and then we realized that we ran out very quickly. It does take a good amount of capital to build a rental portfolio. And so once we ran out of our own capital, we realized that we needed to work with others who could fund our deals. So we started with private lenders. Essentially, I just would send an email out to my database and say, I have a new deal. I'm looking for a lender. You can participate in this deal. I'll give you, X% interest. It'll be a 1-year loan. I'll refinance you. You get all your money back and you'll receive maybe 8% on your money. Now we do some combination of either 1031ing our own properties, using cash out refinances, or doing syndications or JV partnerships. So having other people basically bring the down payment to fund the deals and get to participate in the deal that way. So again, a lot of agents, I think a lot of investors as well, get really stuck here. Or they will say, I have $100,000 that only gets me maybe one property. How do you scale up beyond that? And again, it's really just asking that question. Who else do I know that wants to participate in these deals with me or partner on these deals? And then number 3 is who will finance my deals. So, as mentioned, the banks finance usually between 75 to 80% of the transaction. So really you're only looking for that 20 to 25% down. I have a lot of different lenders that I work with, and it kind of depends on the deal. So typically these days, again, I'm buying, 10 to 50 unit properties. So of course, these are commercial lenders. Sometimes they're small local banks. Sometimes they're, larger, commercial brokers or companies like that. But if you're working with a local agent in a different market than you can ask them, who do you use on the commercial lending side or the conventional loan side that is your preferred lender, right? So that's the other piece that you really need here. All right, so strategy. So the next question is, you really need to hone in your investment criteria. Gary asked me that question is, where am I investing? And then I told him where, and then I also told him what I'm investing in. So again, I've kind of developed this recession-proof plan. I don't want to own, luxury properties. I don't want to own, personally, I don't like short-term rentals. I think, there could be some issues here with the next recession of people having the ability to, pay these high rates. Obviously there's, a lot of things that kind of red tape and things that come into play. So I love these boring value add multifamily properties where, they're B class, 2-bed, 1-bath, average rents are going to be in that like $1,000 to $1,200 range, just because they're really, really stable, steady. So get really clear on your investment criteria, and then figure out where can you find those deals. So after you have, again, your outcome, you've figured out the steps that you need to take, who's going to find you deals, how you're going to fund them and how you're going to finance them. Then you really need to figure out, okay, so where can I find these deals? So I'm less like market specific these days and more, I will look at it like on a deal case to case basis. And then I just make sure that that sub-market makes sense and it meets my criteria. And then the next question is, who can help me scale? So, in the connections piece, I kind of left off property manager, because in the beginning, you might want to be your own property manager. We managed our own portfolio for, again, the first about 9 years until we really wanted to, just have more freedom. And so in terms of who can help me scale, I think the answer is going to be very different based on where you're at. So again, if you say, this is great, okay, I can figure this out, but I have no time, then it might be, okay, who can help me scale? First step is property manager. Or like I think Rob had mentioned, in order to scale, maybe you need a better CPA. Maybe you need a JV partner. Maybe you need somebody that can help do acquisitions or asset management. So again, different answer to this question based on where you're at and the different stages. But it's really, really important to always be thinking about, as you can see, there's a lot more who questions than how. And so I like to ask who first and then how. Usually the how shows up after you find the right who, but it's really important to make sure that you kind of think about, okay, who can help me scale to the next level so that you can get the ultimate freedom that you're looking for. All right. We have any questions or do we want to move on?
I think we're caught up. I did find a one I missed before from Susan asking, what are some of the things that real estate agents should be writing off? And I think a lot of it is tied to Susan, that if you also invest in real estate personally, it opens up more channels for you for being able to use the tax rules in your favor. And one of them is, if you're a professional real estate person, you don't have that limit, that $25,000 limit on what you can take in a year. So where other people do so things like that. I mean, I'd really want to have that guy Mark on. Mm-hmm. Last time we had one was a friend of David Edwards, and that was 2 summers ago. So I think we really should have a tax accountant on to go into those details, guys. And
taxes are huge. Well, and and agents benefit from having, you have the real estate tax benefits, the cost segregation, the depreciation, the operating expenses, and then you have all the tax benefits from owning your own business. And so, just some common tax write-offs, of course, cell phone, internet, home office deduction. You can do the Section 179 deduction if you have a vehicle that's over 6,000, gross weight. You can do 100% bonus depreciation in year 1 on that. Anything, again, computers, any kind of electronics, anything basically that you use to run your business, you should be writing off. And if you have any questions about it, of course, talk to your CPA. Yeah. And then you want to start kind of implementing some other strategies such as, HSAs and self-directed 401ks in addition to your real estate. And so Again, I think we could probably talk for hours on that. And so I'll let Mark, I'll connect you with Mark, and then maybe you guys can have that conversation. But if you're, gosh, if you're an agent and you own rental properties and you're really paying any tax, then I think that you have some work to do on the tax side, because there's a lot of ways to save. Of course, you start paying your kids. If you have kids that are under 18 and they make less than $12,500, they pay no tax, but you get to write off that $12,500 and do them a favor, invest it in or open a Roth IRA, and then invest in other things. And so, there's a lot of things that we do with my 7-year-old daughter to really just kind of set her up for the future. And it's a benefit for all of us. So again, these are all legal things that you can do working with your tax CPA. But yeah, lots of options there. So for time, I think I'll go into step 3. Of course, invest in a new niche, earn more, and work less with investor clients. So the only way that I've been able to essentially build and scale my portfolio was by working with investor clients early on as an agent. I would close just as a solo agent, anywhere from like 80 to 100 transactions a year. And that was with maybe 10 clients, because they were buying multiple properties every single year. And then I got the benefit of earning, high commission, never showing houses on nights and weekends, doing open houses, doing all of those things, but also learning along the way. And so I kind of became known as the investor agent. And so that means that I got access to a lot of deals that, my clients are buying. And then of course I would buy some too. And so there was huge benefits there. So of course I know everyone on this call is already an investor agent. So congratulations, you're probably in the 1% of agents that work in this niche. But I just kind of want to just give you guys some reminders of the benefits of working with investor clients. So again, you earn while you learn. So much of the strategies and tactics that I've learned came from investor clients that I worked with. I remember, I think the first time that I ever met an investor that was netting over 6 figures a year, I think I was an agent for maybe 3 years, and it just blew my mind. I mean, he was in his 30s, had basically, I think before that, he was a car detailer and had a multi-million-dollar portfolio. He was JVing deals. He was bringing other investors in to fund the down payment, and he was making 6 figures a year. And so, of course, I would find him really great deals and ask him questions. Well, how are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And then, I got his lender contacts and things like that. And so he taught me a lot, and I bought him a lot of really great deals. So it worked really well for both of us. As mentioned, multiple repeat transactions. Most investors that we work with, I would say, close, minimum 2 to maybe 5 or 10 properties a year. So again, you get to work with fewer clients, but they do multiple repeat transactions, which is fantastic. Number 3 is the impact. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't feel like the impact was quite the same to just help somebody get into a first-time home buyer buy a home that they were living in versus helping somebody that was a small business owner that was building their own retirement, or somebody on a fixed income that had some capital that they wanted to put into income producing assets that would pay all of their bills. Right. And so for me, the impact piece really, really, made a big difference and just made it even more worthwhile. Number 4 is, as you all know, less competition from other agents. For whatever reason, very few agents focus on this niche. I don't know if they think that, there's a bit of a stigma, I guess, that investors, just like to throw lowball offers out, or they're a waste of time, or I don't know. That hasn't been my experience. All of my investor clients are actually just really fantastic to work with. And, high net worth individuals really value their time, don't waste my time. And so, I don't have competition from other agents. A lot of them had said that the interviewed agents didn't really find what they were looking for until they met me. And so I think it's great to have less competition. And then also less competition from other buyers. I think investors make up, I think the stat that I've heard is about 900,000 transactions every year. That does include, the hedge funds and things like that. But that's still a relatively small percentage as compared to the 5-6 million homes that sell every year. So again, there's a bit of less competition from other buyers. Certainly, home buyers and things, there's a lot of competition for first-time home buyer properties or, owner-occupant properties, and not so many, especially the niche that I'm in, which is that 10 to 50 units. Little too big for the small guys, little too small for the big guys. And so very little competition there. As already mentioned, no showings on nights and weekends. Probably one of the best benefits, maybe other than like learning. But yeah, again, a lot of the investor clients, as you all know, they don't, work nights and weekends, right? They have the flexibility to, maybe write offers during their lunch or in the mornings or just, with their work. And so, and there's not much to show. If there's properties that are tenant occupied, you're not showing it before you're writing an offer, right? So there's a lot of benefit as far as scalability and how many transactions you can close. It's less emotional. You're not going to have the, my wife doesn't like the backyard, or I don't, I don't know, like the kitchen, things like that. Investors are very unemotional. It's, do the numbers make sense? Yes or no, which I appreciate. Again, more qualified buyers. So investors tend to, be at a certain stage in their life where they have extra income and savings to invest in properties. I don't think I've ever had, an investor that, lost their job right before closing, or, something happened on their credit where they couldn't, just similar to like first-time home buyers, a lot of things kind of come up and you're, crossing your fingers, hoping that you get to the finish line. Not my experience with working with investors. Obviously, they're just a little bit more qualified. Lead generation is easy. You put it out there that you're an investor agent, you will have more leads than you ever know what to do with. Truly, that has been my experience. Never paid for investor leads, always found it very, very easy to find investors to work with. And so again, lead generation is easy. Access to off-market deals. So as mentioned, because transacting a lot of investor deals, people just brought me deals. Other agents in my market would bring me deals because they didn't quite know how to figure out, how to value these assets. And so again, huge benefit to getting access to off-market deals. I'm kind of going a little fast because I think we're here. I'm just gonna 6 ways to find investor clients that have worked really well for me. Number one is hosting a monthly investor meetup. We would get 75 people in a room. And imagine if you can do all of your monthly lead generation in like 1 hour a month. It's an incredible opportunity to host a monthly investor meetup. Number two, brand yourself as an investor agent. Put it on all, your email signature, your social media, in your email list, everything. Let everybody know that you work with investors and you have this knowledge. Number three, I mentioned, every morning I would email deals to my entire database, and I would be shocked at some of the people that I had sold houses to, maybe years ago, that were ready to become investors. So send deals to your entire database. They're really, excited and want to see those deals. Partner with property managers. Again, lots of leads came from property managers, people that wanted to sell, people that, were looking for properties. And number five, attend auctions, seminars, and conferences. Basically go hang out where the investors hang out. And number six, if you want more investor clients, we have a free referral program. So there's no fee to join. We just have a referral fee when a deal closes. So if you guys want to work with more investors, we work with investors all across the country. You can go to our website and apply to join our referral program. And then here is the website. All right, I know I just totally skipped through that. Gary, how are we doing on time? I know
we're okay, but we generally schedule to be an hour, but I have to tell you, we haven't done anything less than an hour and a half in over a year. And
oh, good. Okay.
We broke a record I think in July. The longest class as far as these Monday Night Live series was 2.5 hours.
Oh boy.
But you know what? It was active. It's engaging there. I mean, it was so much came out of that. So, so a couple of things I want to ask you guys is, for the agents watching, did you see anything familiar in the last couple of slides, like the reasons why we do this? The repeat business. There's little or no competition, and we actually studied statistically when I used to have my own brokerage, Jennifer's. We recognized that of their entire aggregate customer base, the average number of transactions for investors was 4 to only 1.1 for owner occupants. And then when we looked at the active investors, the ones actively engaged in that year, it was 4 point something in that year per transaction. Just amazing,
Incredible.
So, and I got to tell you guys, I'm gonna go ahead and throw this out there. In July, we started this whole series about why we're preparing right now for this recession. And technically now we are in a recession by definition. And one of the first things I said was everybody needs to do a booklet. And I'm going to ask you next Monday, you don't have to answer now, but next Monday, I'm going to ask you guys, next Monday, we talk about the letter campaign, by the way. So next Monday, I'm going to ask you first off, who created their booklet and sent it to their database? Absolutely fundamental, foundational. I mean, I can't even, and I know you're busy. I know what it's like out there. But I'm telling you, if you do these basic things, and look at what Jennifer brought up there, join a group, right? Tell your people that you're an investor agent. That's your booklet going out to them. Finding the deals and emailing to your clients. That's the letter going out, be proactive, be the person, be a service person. And I promise you, you're going to succeed. I can't tell you you're going to hit a home run on the first week, but I can tell you this, you keep swinging the bat like that. I mean, Jennifer, would you agree? Those 3 things are going to, you're bringing more business than any owner occupant business can ever bring it,
Yes. Well, and I think we need to remember too, investors will buy when the market's high and they'll also buy when the market is low. And so there's not really any seasonality with real estate investors. Certainly there's kind of different investors buy in different seasons, of course. We have a lot of investors that are, just kind of been sitting on the sidelines, some of the, really experienced guys that own, massive portfolios. When they saw that the interest rates went up and a lot of newer investors pulled back, they came in. Right. And so myself, I've been writing more offers in the last, I would say like 3 or 4 months than I have probably in the last like 12 months, just because there's more inventory. Sellers are a little bit more negotiable right now. And so it's a little bit less competitive. And so again, investors will buy no matter what the economy is doing. And so that's, really, really important to build, the recession-proof agent business that you have, of course. Because I'm really curious, did anyone see a drop in business with the interest rates from the home buyers?
Yes, I did. This is Benetta. I got buyer reluctance. So I teach a webinar, buyers webinar, first time home buyers webinar once a month. And yeah, they like, oh, I'm scared. I don't know what the economy's doing. I don't know what the interest rate is doing. It's too high. The media is making everybody look crazy. And so my buyers have become like, I'm going to wait until next year. Like, what? Right. Can I ask you a quick question, Jennifer? Thank you very much. Your presentation is awesome.
Absolutely.
But kind of fast. The 6 ways to find investors. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I didn't get 5.
Yes. Let me go back.
It was like the last slide that you had before.
Yeah. So host a monthly investing meetup.
Yeah.
Brand yourself as an investor agent. Email deals to your entire database.
Yes.
Partner with property managers. Attend auctions, seminars, and conferences.
Attend auctions, seminars. And I'm sorry, and what?
Conferences.
Conferences, okay. And the last one?
Yeah. And then apply to join our referral program if you're looking to work with more investors. We're always looking for more investor agents to work with and refer.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Hey guys, any more questions? I mean, you've got a really good teacher here tonight, so I would definitely take advantage of it.
I've got one. Did you say that you were building small multifamilies?
Yes.
And I'd be curious to know how you go about starting that and how you go about doing that. And I'm assuming that that's a long-term prospect because you got to find land, you got to get planning done, architecture, the whole 9 yards. What's it take? Probably a year and a half or so?
Yeah, so it depends on the municipality, and then it depends on if there's utilities to the lot, or if you have to build roads, or if you have to bring utilities in. But I would say on average, it takes about 14 to 18 months from maybe the time of purchase to certificate of occupancy.
Is that more or less expensive than buying something that's already done, typically, from your experience?
Typically, it's a lot more expensive, yes.
I would assume so, but I didn't know for sure.
Yes. Rob, what market are you in?
I'm in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Okay. I'm not familiar with the cost to build there, but yeah, depending on the market, I mean, it could be anywhere from maybe $240 to $300 a foot to build.
Yeah, it's quite expensive here, and we have no
Mhm.
affordable housing here whatsoever.
Right. Yeah, that's the challenge. The challenge is, we need more housing units in order to create, potentially more affordable housing, but it's so expensive to build. And so, again, you need the appraised value to come in much, much higher to make it worthwhile. So in
Mhm.
some areas, I invested a lot in the Midwest. In some areas, it just doesn't make financial sense to build because it wouldn't, you don't necessarily have any other comps, right? If the average, sale price per foot is like 150, but it costs 240 to build, then, a lot of times it doesn't make sense to do so unless you're able to get, a very large complex.
Right. Okay.
The benefit though with small multifamily is in some municipalities, like I think the entire state of California actually did a rezone. So you can build a duplex in any residential zoning. And so this was my experience also outside of Seattle is in any residential zone, you could build a duplex, provided that you could meet the setbacks and you could fit the parking. And so I think that a lot of jurisdictions are looking at that as an option. So what that could open up is it could open up, maybe somebody that owns a single family home on a really large lot, and they could essentially add a, detached dwelling unit or build a duplex in their backyard. Essentially maybe their land is kind of quote unquote free. And so it makes it a little bit less expensive, to just build something in a backyard or on a section of the lot.
Yeah, I think they did that actually in Charlottesville. Did they not do that here, Tom? Something very similar?
Yeah, but there's other hoops that you have to jump through.
Oh, that's right. It's Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really starts with the zoning, the zoning, and then, the zoning will tell you what you can build there. And then you need to get an idea of what the cost to build would be and then what it would be worth. And then you also need to make sure that it cash flows. And so you kind of have to run a couple of different scenarios to just make sure that the strategy makes sense.
Have you ever looked at, or anyone you know of have looked at actually developing, because of our dearth of affordable housing, actually developing manufactured home parks?
Yeah, it's really hard to find that zoning. So a lot of municipalities do not want new mobile home parks. And so it's really tough to find the proper zoning for that.
You got to find the politically correct area that was willing to sacrifice everything for that type of housing.
Well, nobody wants to live next to a mobile home park, right? And so you've got, and a lot of times when you're doing that kind of development, it's a land use action, which means that neighbors get to have a say. And essentially, they have a hearing examiner, and it can be really tough. It's slightly easier to do a 55 and older mobile home park because, they feel like, it maybe would be better condition, or, the tenant class would be a little bit different, but it is very difficult, if not almost, I don't want to say impossible, but it's very, very difficult to develop mobile home parks.
Yeah, I found that out.
Tiny home communities, though, that, Austin, Texas, I believe there's like 3 or 4 different tiny home communities, and that, they're allowing those. A developer friend that's working on some of those outside of Austin. And so far, like how are they really different than mobile homes? I guess they're a little bit nicer and more expensive.
And a lot smaller.
And they are a bit smaller. They look quite nice, but I think you have a better time. And then also outside of Nashville, there's some tiny home communities. So you might, if you're thinking in that vein, Rob, you might have a better, better chance at getting like a tiny home community approved.
There are in Florida too. In fact, you guys have probably heard, we mentioned Diane Harris, who's a former student. She's down here in Naples, and she and her husband had a development. It was like a 4-acre parcel and a half-acre parcel. They combined it. They got zoning approved for something like 98 beds, and the design called for tiny homes. And I think they ended up selling that for 20 or 22 million, something like that. Just an amazing turnaround project. And it's necessary. We need, that's why I was saying a few months ago, I definitely want you to focus on the investors, but I think you should also balance that with working with builders who are wise enough to focus on affordable housing in a downturning economy. That's just, last time we needed rental housing. So the good builders started building rentals. This time it's affordable housing. you're going to see some of the builders shift to that market. And I think it'd be really wise for you to be part of that shift as well, you know?
Absolutely.
So, yeah, good questions, guys. You're thinking like a Lincoln.
Did Kevin have a question? I see a little hand raised.
Kevin Kelleher, if you want to go ahead and I'm going to click on Ask to Unmute. So you should be able to unmute yourself, Kevin, if you could. Kevin's right outside Atlantic City, New Jersey. But he may have stepped away, or it might be unclear on how to unmute. Kevin, if you're on your computer, hover your mouse around, look for the microphone symbol, typically bottom left corner. It has a line through it. Just click on it. The line will disappear. Okay, we'll give him a second to try that.
Yeah, we'll come back to Kevin. I think Sally, did you have your hand up?
Yes, I was just going to say that everyone's probably familiar with D.R. Horton, which is one of the largest builders in the United States. And he is now joint venturing with Boxable, which is the tiny homes that are going to be setting up. So I think that that's going to be interesting to watch these small parcels of land come up and the Boxable tiny homes go in.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Actually, and Boxable is actually in pre-IPO status, guys. Little tip from Wall Street. So, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Who can I call on? Hey, Gilbert, how things out there in Vegas? Vegas and Henderson.
Oh, things are great. Actually, I just have to sidetrack. I got a call from my former grocery manager in Tacoma, Washington 2 days ago. She said, "You're my realtor in Las Vegas." She bought a parcel and is doing a new build. And I'm doing a 50-50 split with her. And her dad just bought the parcel right next door. A lot of exciting things going on out here in Vegas.
Great.
Yeah. Ask and you shall receive, right?
Yep.
Love it.
So, hey, Melanie, you mind unmuting yourself? Melanie Abraham.
Yeah, sure. Hi.
By the way, I'll send you an email. I'm going to send you the email after class tonight for the book group, which is next Wednesday. I'll send you that email with the link and everything. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to make sure I'm on track with everything on that.
But Melanie, reason I'm calling you is I know you and your husband have been active and actively looking too. And where you are, you know, San Antonio and really Austin's the next biggest cities. You know, they've gotten really high price, but there's so many other areas around there, you know, like I'm trying to remember some of them, Temple and I think Fredericksburg, some of the ones I remember. Have you looked in those areas, or actually, Jennifer, are you familiar with any of those areas at all?
Yeah, that's a great area. And San Antonio is a great market as well.
Yeah, exactly. I've been looking at San Antonio. We actually just we're considering an Airbnb in San Antonio before this whole shift started happening in our area. But we've decided to rent out our primary residence, and we purchased another home to move into that. But yes, I think about that tech corridor, like where Elon is, and then everything from even we looked at Salado, we looked at Jarrell, Taylor, Hutto, and then things are happening all the way out to Bastrop, Elgin, and then down, and we're looking at the next thing in Lockhart. And so, because, you know, so there's a lot of things happening in all of those areas that are close to Austin and San Antonio, but Austin has been, of course, skyrocketing. And yeah, so two of the investment properties we have, like they went up 40. One went up almost 100% in the last 2 years, and the other one was right at 100%. So it's been crazy, but there's other areas that are still actually good and growing, and new businesses are coming in, and job market's strong. So yeah, so great opportunities here still.
And California investors love Texas.
Yes.
So you could probably host a monthly webinar just for California investors on how to get
Great idea, right?
investing in Texas. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You could actually, Melanie, you could do a Facebook post showcasing a recent flip or maybe even a rental that, you know, that just sold. And when you go into Facebook, only select like LA County, you know,
Oh,
or something like that.
right. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
That's a great
Or
idea.
up in the Bay Area. Bay Area's got several counties, but you know, San Jose, Santa Cruz, oh my gosh, I mean, the list goes on and on. And so you're targeting everything there. I mean, there's a number of ways you can go about that, but they're just showing what's possible. And
Mhm.
this, I think I told you guys this before, when I was in Tidewater, Virginia, near all those military bases. I literally put an ad, it was the old print version, and they went online, but Stars and Stripes magazine for military personnel. And I put in there, and other agents advertised, but it was always a business card. It's like they just took a picture of the business card, put in there. And all I did is I said, Gary Wilson, and put typical, you know, email, phone number, specializing in military real estate investors, you know. And like Jennifer said, and oddly enough, most of the calls came from other realtors whose clients were military in Germany, in Colorado, in Texas, saying, my guy's moving out there, or he wants to invest there, whatever, can you help him out? I had to pay a referral fee on those, but you know what, for a few dollars, shoot, it was worth it, you know? So,
It's awesome.
yep, and you got a big base out near you, Melanie, you know? So, yeah, Fort Sam Houston. So, we used to call it the Dust Bowl. That's where my parents were before I was born.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, they moved from the dust to the snow. So, but in any case, okay, who else has questions? How about some of the guests? Hey, Arthur Poland, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, thank you. I apologize. I was on the road. I just got back in, so I came in towards the tail end of the call. But
okay.
I saw somebody commented that it was definitely a great presentation, as it is always on Monday.
Where are you located?
Tampa, Florida.
Oh man, here you're one of the great areas, you know. And it spreads out. You can go out to Plant City, and I mean, by the way, I'm an hour and a half south of you in Inglewood. And
okay,
this Thursday, I'm going to be speaking at the Tampa Club, right downtown Tampa, on top of the penthouse, on top of the Bank of America building.
That's awesome.
If you want to
this coming Thursday.
Yeah, Betty Kappa's on the team. She's on all tonight because she's actually at another event getting more people to come to Thursday night. And
Oh, nice, nice.
There's going to be people there, man, that you should meet. Lenders, I mean, lawyers, other investors. And I know one guy who's coming, he sells jets. His average sales like almost $5 million, you know, he sells jets. So that's the kind of people are going to be there. So I don't know about you, but I'm wearing a suit.
How do you get that job?
Definitely.
I know he's young. He's like 23, 24 years old, graduated University of Indiana and aeronautical something.
That's great.
Got into sales, and it's like his sales are all over the planet. He sells jets to people. There's no barrier. There's no, it's not really.
Gary, we're in the wrong business.
Yep. So he's opening up a dealership, a jet office in Tampa, you know. In any case, but you know what? The thing is I met him. It all goes back to me networking, doing the things that Jennifer was talking about. You have to engage with other people. You've got to get out there and be part of these groups, at least one group. Meet people, you know, get their contact information, send them examples of properties, right? Show them, don't just tell them, actually show them, you know? So, hey, Jennifer, I'm just curious. So when you got your license, did you get your license to be a realtor? Or did you get your license because you wanted to do more investing and maybe enhance your investing business?
Yeah, no, I had no desire to sell real estate. I just couldn't find an investor agent in my market. So I decided to become one. And then, then friends and family just said, hey, it looks like you're buying a lot of properties. Can you help me buy one too? And so the rest is history. Yeah.
Yep.
And I think it paid off. Worked out pretty well for me.
Well, if you're interested, Jennifer, we have I'm teaching next Monday, the following Monday, the 29th. I don't know if you ever run across Jay Connor. He's the private money kind of guru guy. He's been around forever. And
Great.
Doesn't deal with big syndications. They just simply person to person, old fashioned private money. Is gonna show people some trips and ticks. I can't speak to like tips and tricks. On the
Fantastic.
29th. And,
Great. Yeah, I love that you all do this. I think it's
Yep.
fantastic.
well, these guys,
So much
I
to
mean,
learn from each other.
absolutely. That's why I knew instantly when you and I first announced that we have got to collaborate. And the funny thing is, you know, for everybody listening, this is really important. Talk about mindset. That was one of Jennifer's 3 circles. You know, when I first got in this business, I was surprised at how scarcity minded people were. It's like very intense competition, like mine, and people would literally get in shouting matches. And I'm like, holy crap, there's so many people out there and so many houses. There's got to be enough for everybody. And I've discovered it with the investors because there really is an abundance of properties and nobody would pay attention to them. I actually had agents. This is crazy. One of my best clients was a Century 21 broker. He owned his own office. And I asked him, I said, I don't understand. I said, is this a trick? Are you something I'm not seeing? He says, no, I don't have anybody that I can count on that knows what you know. And I know you were in a different company. You just can't tell anybody what I'm doing. I said, your secret's safe with me, man. You know, tens of thousands, I mean, I probably earned $100,000 in commission with him. He was buying just like, again, starting out duplex, fourplex, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 unit buildings and complexes, and just amazing. So you know, and I know we make it sound easy, but it's only because we've already done it. And just like anything, just like math, everybody here learned how to add and subtract and multiply and divide. And didn't it get a lot easier once you learn how to do it? It was like, holy smokes, that was all scared, fear for nothing, you know?
Yep.
So anyways, Jennifer and I are both abundance minded, and, you know, I'm happy to have her on. You know, locally we'd be competitors, but in Pittsburgh, I had agents that they were natural competitors. They were different companies, but we shared clients because there was nobody else like us. I wasn't going to drive an hour to show a property when I knew Bill Kendall could do it because he lived in that town. And Bill would send people my way. And the agreement was whatever transaction it was, we would earn that commission. And they'll, you know, it's just how we did it. So you guys can get referrals from Jennifer. And if you really want to practice your skills, use that letter campaign, drum up get some off-market deals and say, hey, Jennifer, I got a couple here.
Send me a deal. I'll buy
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
You all know my criteria now.
Yeah. It's all about being proactive. Somebody's got to take the lead, and that's you. You've got to take the lead, take charge, and create the activity, create the results by taking action, you know? So, yeah.
Well
Let's
said,
see.
Gary.
Who else? Who was on? Let's see. Hey, Jeff Johnson's on. Jeff, are you still there? Let me click the unmute button. If you're there,
Yeah,
Jeff, go.
yeah, I'm here. How you doing, Gary?
How you doing, man? Yeah. Did you
Hang
know?
on, I got you on Facebook on my phone too. Yeah, I'm here still.
Jennifer bought a property up in Holland, Michigan.
Yeah, it's beautiful out there. I was just over in Grand Rapids probably about 3-4 months ago. It's nice.
Yep.
Close to the lake, a lot of parks, rolling green hills. It's a nice area.
Yep.
And I'm out in Seattle now, so.
Oh, really?
I am, yeah. So I moved out here due to a job change. So I'm out here, and I was actually trying to get through the Department of Licensing to figure out what I got to do to get my license out here.
Well, there's some good areas out there. I mean, I don't know how far you're from Tacoma, or trying to think of the other town just north of Tacoma, Jennifer, but south of Seattle. There's a unique name. It's like a 2-word name. It's
SeaTac.
Yes, yeah.
No, it's not SeaTac. SeaTac's probably like all
Probably
Federal
Des
Way.
Moines.
Federal Way.
Federal
Yeah,
Way.
Federal Way. Yeah, that's nice there.
Mhm.
I was out here about 15 years ago. I was working for Boeing, and we lived about 20 miles north of Seattle in a little town called Mukilteo.
Mhm.
And right on the edge of the Puget Sound, it was about a 3-mile drive down to the ferries. We'd go down there, and man, you talk about actually now that you mentioned it, Jennifer, about the tiny homes, they got a really great tiny home community out here now.
Mhm.
You know, I didn't think about going by there and visiting it, but when you brought that up, I go, I got to go over there and look at it because
Check it out. Mhm.
Yeah, I don't know how much they are. They got to be probably
Probably
500,000-600,000.
a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but the market here is unreal. You know,
Mhm.
but I'll be learning a little bit more about that as I go along. And
Great.
Gary,
Yep.
can you post on the link? And I apologize, I don't have a pen and pencil handy, but my sister, I was just down in Tampa about a month ago for my niece's wedding,
Mhm.
and she goes, "You still working with that guy, that real estate guy?" I go, "Yeah." So I would love to send her up to your meeting because
Okay.
yeah, they got a lot of friends, and you know they're
Pouring out.
Pouring out.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you could, Jeff, email me and I will be a reminder to send you the email.
Not flying out.
yeah, I will.
So I'll send you the registration link. That'd be a great, gotta be a great thing for her to attend. And by the way, I would reach out to Jennifer because she left Seattle and there's probably a big void there right now with her being down in Arizona. So you might be able to fill some shoes.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. I gotta get my license and hit the ground running, and but yeah.
Yep.
Interesting change of venues.
Well, give me a call, maybe over the weekend, or use that old link to set up a strategy call with me so we can connect. You know, I'm just glad to see you're here, and
Yeah.
amazing you're on the West Coast here. So
Yeah, and Jennifer, props to you, man. I mean, what an amazing presentation. Can we steal your houses and use them as examples?
100%. Absolutely.
All right.
Please do.
Because I don't have anything like what you've done. So I mean, to sit down with people and show them the benefits of owning real estate, and I mean, who would want a $275,000 tax write-off? I mean, that's unreal, you know.
Yeah. That's in 1 year. And then you get
Yep.
that. No, it won't be 275 every year, but
So do you pay any taxes at all?
not really.
Pay that all on?
But I mean, we're on
Okay.
Facebook Live, and I know that the IRS just hired 87,000
Yeah.
new. So
They're coming for you.
let's keep that on the down low.
Yeah. Well, that's an army. I mean, the funny thing is they actually are weaponized too. They have bought all kinds of ammunition several years ago.
Yeah.
87,000 people. That's an army. Yeah. People are like,
Yeah.
holy crap. But the thing is, guys, whenever you hear somebody like Jennifer or me talk about this, just remember, we are paying in other ways. You know, I mean, think of all the jobs we're creating.
Oh, and the
Like,
property tax, you should see my property tax bills. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So the IRS code is written to be used, and you just have to have the right professional that understands it to know how to use it.
Yes.
It's not like it's smoke and mirrors. It's right in the code.
All, yep.
Yep.
All what
And,
the tax code allows us to.
I would be very excited to hear for Gary, which I know you're going to do, is to get Mark. Is it Canton or Cotton?
Canton.
Canton.
Mhm.
Canton.
That's great.
And I mean, there's a very few tax people out there that really know what they're doing, you know, that know all the ins and outs. So that will be a great Monday night.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks, Jeff.
All right,
Uh,
buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
I look forward to it. Tell
Good luck
Maria.
in Seattle,
hello.
Jeff. PF, did you have a question? I saw your hand earlier.
Oh, yeah, before I run out, I do have another meeting. I came in a little late, so I'm not sure if you clarified what your classification was when you say this is a Class B property.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't sure if I missed that. Could you briefly share with us what that means?
Yeah, of
Or is
course.
that your own terminology?
Yeah, well, everyone has some kind of different terminology around that. But yeah, so Class A would be like your new construction, or maybe anything built in the last, I don't know, usually, yeah, like 10 years or so. Class B is going to be, I would say, yeah, 10 years to like the maybe mid 90s or so. Class C is going to be, yeah, I would say older than 90s into like the 70s. And then anything older than that's usually going to be like Class D. So I like, but basically at the end of the day, I'm looking for like nicer, newer properties that are in nice areas where tenants want to stay and they want to rent and then they'll pay. Right. And
Oh,
so,
that is in Boston area.
yeah, yep. And so the really cheap properties don't typically perform as well because a lot of times you just, you're in high crime areas, you've got a lot of kind of riffraff to deal with. And so I like to be in the nice areas. Yep.
Yeah.
Not
guys,
the super high luxury because I don't, usually those don't cash flow. But again, the neighborhoods that essentially you'd want to live in, most people would want to live in. Mhm.
Yeah.
And
I'm going to second that. I've done both. And I will tell you, getting the kind of properties that Jennifer showed you tonight, the B grade properties, yes, they're going to be, there's been a higher cost basis to start, but the upside potential is so much greater.
Yep.
Because the rent increases are better, the appreciation is better. You get for lack of better terms, you get a better grade of tenant,
Mhm.
and it's just, I can't emphasize enough how important that is. You will have less headaches. When you look at cap rate, remember cap rate doesn't just reflect reward. Cap rate also reflects risk.
100%.
So there are some areas in the country like, Dayton, Ohio, where they're just perpetually low priced.
Mhm.
So the cap rate's going to be naturally higher. But in most cases, if you have a cap rate that's, 10, 15%, that means you're going to have more headaches. The risk is higher. It's risk and reward are both higher. That's what cap rate represents. So when I made that switch years ago, man, it made life became so much easier, So just know it's comes from the heart, So,
And lessons learned the hard way.
oh yeah. Yep.
Great question, Fia.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome. All
Guys,
right.
Going once, going twice. That was a good group tonight. Good session.
Thanks, all. So
yeah,
nice to
Jennifer.
meet you all.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, both of you. I appreciate you always, Gary and Jennifer. Thank you. Wealth of information. I'm so happy for your success and thank you for sharing with us.
Thanks. And I hope you all have at least one tip that you're taking away, whether it's save on taxes, pay your kids, buy some real estate.
Thank you. It was really good. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, it's been my pleasure. Thank you, Gary, so much.
Thank you. Thanks again, Jennifer. Listen, the recording is going to be out tomorrow. I'll make sure Beverly sends one to you. Let's stay in touch. If you guys want to, is there a place they go to sign up to be a referral agent for your business?
Yeah, it's agentsinvest.com.
Okay.
So we are always looking for more agents to refer to our clients.
I already signed up. This is
amazing. Fantastic.
Since we've been on the webinar, I already signed up.
I love it. Thank you, Gary.
Good.
Thank you, Jennifer. This was awesome.
Yeah.
My pleasure. Thanks all.
Okay, guys, I'll see
Fantastic.
some of you I'll see Wednesday night it's Wednesday night. Oh no, I won't because I'm doing a special bonus event for Lou Brown. Well, some of you I might see on that. And the next Monday night, we're going over the letter campaign. Definitely invite your agent friends. Okay. This is one of the top campaigns, All right, you guys have a good night. Take care of yourselves. God bless you and your families, and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.